change?
Yeah.
What would be your
So
list?
I wish there were some like individual easy answers for for people who just want to make different like consumer buying decisions, but there aren't really. So I'd say the biggest thing is voting with your time about who you work for and what you work on, and that's a big one. And what we need to do as a civilization, there's a great book called Drawdown and website. Paul Hawken and his team assembled a list of the 100, best climate solutions from all categories, from nature to different, all sorts of different interventions. But some big things, let's electrify everything. Self-driving cars and sort of more efficient transportation. So essentially reducing the load of harm that we're doing. Paying people dramatically different on how to treat nature. And then there's a whole bunch of things that are like specifically really bad that we're doing actively all the time. For example, like widespread pesticide and antibiotic use, industrialized animal agriculture. There's a whole host of ways in which just are like unnecessarily inefficient, that could be done a lot better.
You surprised me that you said that you like individually cannot do, because most people think about themselves individually. And like I'm vegan, for example, and I guess that you get this question a lot, like, does it mean that you yourself is like vegan and you're using only like ecological ingredients, and you're thinking twice before you fly or something like that? Or you're saying, no, I'm doing something which is much bigger?
Well, yeah, this is not to like give away individual responsibility. Like in the end, we are individually responsible, and
Mhm.
so um, food and lifestyle are choices, and they have impacts. And I was just thinking of a teacher of mine, Martin Prechtel. He's like, we don't get out of life pure. Like by doing the good thing, we don't actually leave life having won. Like there is a grief of what we are doing. We are having impact on other animals and plants and species, and independent of whether we are vegan or not, there is that impact, and there is an element of grief in it. And if we can acknowledge that and still make a choice about what to do that causes some harm to another being or kills another being, um, that's a choice. Um, so I guess the deeper level is really around like working with the complexity of the earth as it is, because there aren't easy solutions to this. How do we go make these systemic incentive structure changes? How do we go change policy around, fossil fuel use, and also doing it ourselves? It's not an easy answer to say how the cell takes responsibility for the whole body.
Yeah. So how do you think what we're talking about would change the future of work, and how can organizations meet the needs of the employees, the planet, and the stakeholders?
Yeah. So the healing maybe isn't in the cell trying to change the whole body, but in the cell realizing it's a cell of a whole body. And I think that shift translates into every single system. It translates into your business, it translates into government, it translates into how we interact as a species with the planet. Um, and so I don't have also like any easy answers for work, or like, okay, so now it's hybrid or remote, or people have more freedom or more autonomy or better, less centralized decision making. And um, all those would probably be relevant for some companies or others. Um, so it's really about um, the cultural agreements you're making as an organization, and what are you standing for that you believe in. And maybe it's something as simple as, we believe that like we exist for our employees to have a healthy, balanced life, and we are making money selling something. um, that's okay. um, and then there are some people or organizations that have a particular responsibility because they're in a position to actually steward the whole. And if you are, and this is commonly seen as like tech companies or, you know, people with a lot of money, you know, take the responsibility, because there is a lot that small groups of people can do, and that can dramatically change incentive structures for billions of people.
So do you think they need to take into considerations uh, another thing that currently they're not taking into consideration? Maybe, like, I think about a company that will really say that we care about something, because sometimes it looks like only PR, because they want to
Mm-hmm.
look good for their employees and for their consumers, and they really need to change. It cannot be like
Yeah,
an ad, or it needs to go from within, right?
yeah,
And sometimes they need to unlearn, or maybe even give up some of the things that they're currently doing, which
yeah,
is much harder than doing more stuff.
yeah. I mean, it starts from you, right? It starts from the consciousness of an individual saying, this is something that I believe needs to change, and embodying that wherever you go. And I think the consciousness of individuals at organizations can change the organization.